Is it possible to learn a language by just watching TV shows? What do you think? What has been your experience? I am Laura from Couch Polyglot, and today I want to talk about my experience and my 2 cents about, basically just learning languages by watching TV. Well, that's everyone's dream, isn't it? Just watching a movie and letting your brain do the work. So just, letting it soak in and doing nothing. Well, in my experience, movies and TV shows can be awesome for learning languages, but there are some things to take into account. For instance, I know a lot of people who watch shows in English with subtitles in Spanish and wonder why they're not learning so much English from that. You might be learning the pronunciation, you might be learning some words, but of course my feeling is that your brain always takes the easy way out, which is basically reading the subtitles, which are in Spanish. So it doesn't really help that much, does it? But in my experience, if you use, for instance, you're learning English and you want to use the subtitles, that's perfectly fine. You can use them in English and then you'll be reading in English. So it will make a lot more sense and your brain will have to work more for that. But sometimes what I've experienced also is that I'm not that good yet to watch shows, or that's what I thought at least. For instance, I feel like I can watch shows in Italian or in German with no problem whatsoever. But now that I haven't been using my French so much, well, French is a little challenging lately. And when I try to watch a show in Russian, I just feel overwhelmed. I feel like, okay, yeah, I can understand through the context, but there's too much I don't understand. And that can be really frustrating. I don't know if you've experienced that before. I personally found that Lingopie is a great solution for that problem. It has some features that help you follow what's happening. For instance, they have the option of mashup. So if you're not feeling comfortable with starting with the whole subtitles in French, for instance, you start with the subtitles in the mashup form. So it's in English, but some of the most important words will be in both languages. So you will see both the French and the English word in that case. So I think it's also great to have different options. I personally prefer having either just the original if I'm advanced enough in that language, or kind of both. And the option to be able to save the words you don't know and, practice them later, I think is awesome. And also you can, choose the speed you want them to talk. So if it's too fast, you can change the speed. And you have the transcription also on screen. A cool thing they have is that you basically can try it out for 7 days for free. And I also have a discount, of course. This is being sponsored by them, so you can click on the discount down below. For us polyglots, it's always important to have many languages. So right now they have French, Japanese, Korean, Russian, Portuguese, Italian, German, and Spanish. But they aim to add new languages, 2 or 3 languages per year. Also, the fact that they are adding new shows every week, I think is pretty crazy. So I don't think you can ever get bored. Another thing that can be great if you're trying to learn a language by watching movies or TV series is watching something you've already watched before. So for instance, many people have watched Friends in Spanish in Spain, and then they watch it in English. So it's not that difficult to understand because you've seen that before. And you can do the same with, Harry Potter or whatever. I've done it also with Futurama or The Simpsons. So with German. When I was at a B2 level, I started watching such series, animated series, and I enjoyed them and also was able to understand most of what was happening because I knew the characters from before. I had watched the shows before, so that does help. So if it's in a way familiar, I think it helps. And also I started watching something that a Patreon recommended, which is a series in Swedish, but it's for little kids. And even though I didn't know that series before, but being for little kids, there's no big twist really. So it's just, quite visual as well, so that the kids understand, who maybe are a little smaller and cannot speak very well yet. So, it's not so complex like, I don't know, science fiction or, you know, some detective story or something. So, for instance, I remember watching a movie called Memento some years ago, and the first time I watched it, even though my English was quite good, I felt like I wasn't getting everything. So if it's a very complex movie, I would either, okay, watch it if you have a great level of language, then go for it, fair enough. But if you have like a, let's say, intermediate level, I would go for easier to understand stories in order not to feel frustrated, because yeah, well, it just depends on your goal. If you're fine with understanding only the half of it, for instance, go for it. It just will depend on how you're feeling, like what's your goal and so on. Especially for Russian right now, I don't feel like watching real movies or movies without any kind of support, because it's just frustrating. I don't understand that much, and yeah, of course I could, and I would take some advantage from it. Like, I don't think it would be useless, but I think you always have to be very I think you have to always ask yourself, is this motivating me or frustrating me? If it's frustrating you, it can lead to you learning less or just feeling you're not good enough. And I don't think that's good. But if you feel like, wow, I am understanding 50% and I used to understand 20%, that really depends on how you feel about it. So I don't think there's no right or wrong. It's just, I don't know, just going by your gut feeling really is the best way to go, I would say. And yeah, well, I hope you like this. As always, please leave a message, and I'm looking forward to your coffees. Yeah, I started my own Ko-Fi page. If you want to support me there, you can also support me as a patron. And leaving a message, sharing my material also helps me a lot. And I hope you like this, and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.